You're training hard and the numbers still aren't moving. It happens to a lot of riders. The fitness looks fine on paper. The early power feels okay, but the late ride fade is the same. The power curve is the same. And you start wondering if this is your ceiling. Well, it's not. One of my riders was in that exact spot. He was already in good shape and he still added 40 watts in 12 weeks from a block that looks almost too simple to work. I call it the boring block. In this video, I'll show you when the boring block works, how to run it properly, how to track if it's working, and the exact moment to stop before it stops working. It doesn't feel fast, it doesn't look impressive, but when you drop it into the right part of your training life, it moves the needle more than almost anything else. But it comes with a cost. Use it at the wrong time and you can sap your sprint, mute your punch, and take the sting out of your top end. This block builds depth, not fireworks, which is why timing matters. He got that result because we followed a handful of rules that decide whether this block gives you a breakthrough or buries you in fatigue. So let's get into it. Rule 1, timing. This is the biggest mistake riders make. The boring block works because the timing is right, not because zone 2 is magic. It delivers the biggest return in 3 situations. 1, you're coming back from time off. After 2 weeks away from structured training, your aerobic system softens, steady work rebuilds it fast. 2, you've overdone intensity, so you've got heavy legs, poor recovery, heart rate's too high for the watts. The boring block resets the system. And 3, you fade late in rides. You're strong early, but you crack at 90 minutes. Your aerobic base is shallow, so this fixes it. Training age matters too. If you're 1 to 3 years into structured riding, the lift is big. If you're 5+ years in, the return is smaller, but it's still the best way to reset and rebuild before your next block. Volume matters. You don't need pro hours, but you do need enough time for the work to accumulate. 5 to 7 hours builds consistency and a basic rebuild. 7 to 10 gives you real improvements. 10 to 12 builds a large aerobic gain if the timing is right. And here's the truth most riders never hear. A lot of cyclists are permanently underdosed. They train often, but they never apply enough consistent low intensity volume to trigger true adaptation. The boring block corrects that. Now that you know when it works, here's how to do it. Rule 2, control. This phase only works if the work stays controlled. Not kind of easy, not mostly zone 2, not I'll just push a little bit harder up the climb. True control, intensity, discipline. So forget all the labels of what you think this is. What matters is simple, stay below LT1 with stable heart rate and stable lactate. And that's the gear that drives the adaptations you want. Heart rate is your anchor, power is your guide. So cap your heart rate at around 70-75% of your max heart rate. So if your max is 190, that's 130 to 140 beats. If heart rate rises at the same power, then you've drifted, so then you back off. When you stay controlled, this is what you actually trigger. More mitochondria, more capillaries, cleaner fuel use, lower lactate at the same wattage, lower heart rate for the same cost, and better late ride durability. And this is why every endurance sport uses long blocks of controlled low intensity work. Not because it's exciting, but because it works. Control builds consistency. Consistency builds durability, and durability builds fitness. Rule 3, tracking. Here's where most riders lose the plot. They ride steady, but they don't measure whether it's actually working. So these 3 markers tell you if you're adapting. 1, heart rate drift. So low heart rate drift means better efficiency. 2, late ride stability. If your last 20 minutes look like your first 20, your durability is improving. 3, aerobic power over 20 to 40 minutes. If this climbs without intensity work, your base is deepening. Tracking turns the boring block from guesswork into clarity. It shows whether the work is landing or whether you're just generating tired legs. No spreadsheets, no overthinking, just 3 markers. Now, the final rule, knowing when to stop. Rule 4, transition. Every rider hits a point where the gains stop. You feel smooth, the legs feel good, the rides feel controlled, but nothing is changing. This is the plateau, and it's a good thing. It means the boring block has done its job. Now, it's time to transition. You keep the steady volume, but you add controlled intensity, tempo, sweet spot, threshold, race-specific surges. This is what lifts the ceiling on top of the floor that you've already built. That's how this works. The boring block sets the stage. The next block creates the performance. The boring block builds the part of your fitness most riders never develop properly: deep aerobic capacity and real durability. It's simple, it's boring, but timed right, it changes everything. Now that you understand the phase, the next step is using it. And once you're ready to build on top of it, here are 2 sessions that sit perfectly on the ceiling you've just built.